Hello and welcome to Smaulgld's Perth Mint Gold Sales Update for the month of January 2017. Well, all you Perth Mint fans out there, the Perth Mint Gold sales continue to soar higher. They were 52% higher in January year over year. Perth Mint sold 72,745 ounces of gold in January. That was the fifth month in a row that the Perth Mint has sold over 50,000 ounces a month. As you'll see when we look at the longer term charts, the Perth Mint has been selling record amounts for the Perth Mint. January sales, as we mentioned, were 52% higher than January 2016 sales, and they were fairly good at 47,759 ounces. January sales also were 14.7% higher than December 2016 sales. And they were 63,420 ounces. Part of the reason is this guy here. That is the Year of the Rooster, the part of the Perth Mint Lunar Series. That is a very nice looking coin. You can buy that through Smaulgld at our affiliates. If you buy your gold or silver or other precious metals through Smaulgld, Smaulgld gets a small commission, and you pay no more, no less than if you visited the sites directly. So why not? If you like what we're doing at Smaulgld, buy your gold and silver through the Smaulgld links. There's at least 4, 5, 6 different bullion dealers. You can find your favorite one from JM Bullion, SD Bullion, BGASC.com, Golden Eagle Coin, Money Metals Exchange. You find the one you like, or you compare the pricing and shipping, and you buy, and Smaulgld gets to keep doing what he's doing. That's Lewis, but don't like to call Smaulgld in the third person. In any event, let's see what Perth Mint has done. Now, sales of American Gold Eagles at the U.S. Mint in January, they were down slightly, but their last January comparison was fairly steep. The U.S. Mint sold 86,500 1-ounce American Gold Eagles, and then I think in January 2016 they sold 89,000. So they were pretty close. They were down about 2.8%, 3% from year over year. But what's noticeable is that the Perth Mint generally is a smaller mint. I mean, Australia is a smaller country, and well, people complain when I say a country is smaller than the other. Technically, they're both about the same size geographically, but in terms of population, the United States is much bigger. And so the Perth Mint generally sells fewer gold coins and fewer coins in general than the U.S. Mint, but recently the Perth Mint has been catching up on the monthly sales. Let's take a look. That's left over from last month. That's the December report there. But let's take a look at the newest chart. Remember, you could check out these charts. They look better on the Smaulgld website. Get off of YouTube. You never know when I may not be on YouTube. Who knows? Either voluntarily or because Google just decides they've had enough of gold and silver or whatever they don't want on their platform. That's why you should subscribe to Smaulgld.com. Sorry for the diversion, but go to Smaulgld.com. Do it now while you're listening to this. Just put in your email address. This way you get stuff, you get the information, you'll continually get it. You don't have to worry about being cut off of YouTube. And then you can get email address. You can contact me directly. It's better than working through YouTube because most of us know that people get demonetized. I don't even use Google AdSense, but people get demonetized and they have to leave YouTube, or YouTube cuts them off. So in any event, it's better to be hooked up directly with Smaulgld.com. Now look at this chart here and go to the site and take a look at it. I'll put a link below this podcast, and you can click on it and go directly to the link. Also, the links to buy the gold and silver are below this podcast, but there's more of them on the website. I didn't stuff the YouTube channel with too many of them. So if you want to get a full selection, go to the Smaulgld website. You can check out the links and the banners and make your selection there. Now look at this chart here. 5 months in a row, over 50,000 ounces of gold sold. Now, they generally sell in the 30, 40, 50,000 range, and then they had a very bad summer after Brexit. I guess the world didn't end, so people didn't pile into silver. I mean, silver or gold. But as the year progressed, they realized the Brexit vote did happen, the Italian referendum did happen, and it was against the EU party. Trump got elected. The debt has not gone away. And I think when that happens, investors move more towards gold than silver. Gold is held by central banks. Gold is the premier monetary metal, and silver, as you know, is the poor man's metal. And a lot of people bought a lot of silver over the last 4 or 5 years when it was really cheap, and silver's not as cheap as it was anymore. Still, on the gold silver ratio, which we'll see below, it's still at elevated levels, but it's not at 83 to 1 levels. It's about 70 to 1. But here you see, starting in September when they introduced our friend, the rooster here, the gold sales took off. But that's part of the reason. But they also sell gold kangaroos, gold koalas. They sell gold bars. So there's a lot of gold, different types of products that the Perth Mint sells. So it's not really just because of the rooster. There's also a silver rooster. You can check that one out. That one already has a premium on it. That one sells for about $31, $32. That's a limited edition, 300,000. So the Perth Mint really is starting to ramp up. Not surprisingly, but their sales have been quite robust the past 5 months. Also, if you'd like to help Smaulgld out, you can do so via PayPal or Bitcoin. The addresses are below this email. You click on and you can make your donation very, very easily. Or you can go to the site and you'll be inundated with requests. Well, not inundated, but you can see I've got them on the site. Donate Bitcoin, donate to via PayPal, buy emergency food, support the sponsors on Smaulgld as well. Also follow us on Twitter. So only other thing we have to talk about now is the silver to gold sales ratio. The silver to gold sales ratio, as I was saying before I lost the thread there. The silver to gold sales ratio I track at the US Mint, and that is how many 1 ounce American Silver Eagle coins are sold versus the number of 1 ounce American Gold Eagle coins. In the Perth Mint, they do the same thing. I follow how many ounces of silver are sold at the Perth Mint compared to how many ounces of gold are sold. Now, the Perth Mint historically has sold less silver than gold than the U.S. Mint, and in 2015, the silver to gold sales ratio was 25 to 1 at the Perth Mint, and in 2016 it was 23 to 1. Now, the U.S. Mint, as we talked about in other podcasts, has had its ratio up over 100 to 1. 100 silver eagles sold for every 1 ounce gold eagle. Now, let's take a look. And as I mentioned on the other podcast for the Perth Mint silver sales, I'm going to put this in a chart tracking the silver to gold sales ratio for both the U.S. and Perth Mints on a monthly basis. But let's go all the way down now to December and January. So at the end of the year, in December, the U.S. American silver to gold eagle ratio was 10 to 1. And that's because the U.S. Mint only sold 240,000 American silver eagles and they sold 23,000 1 ounce American gold eagles. So the ratio was 10 to 1. But for most of the year, it was about 46 to 1. In December, the Perth Mints was 6.62 to 1 because they only sold 420,000 ounces of silver, but they sold 63,000 ounces of gold. So the ratio was 6.62 to 1. Now in January, the U.S. Mint sales of American Silver Eagles rebounded to 5.1 million, and the U.S. Mint sold 86,000 1 ounce American Gold Eagle coins, and the silver to gold ratio was close to 60 to 1. Now the Perth Mint sold 1.2 million ounces of silver and 72,000 ounces of gold in January, and that took the silver gold ratio down to 16.92 to 1. Let's take a look now at not the silver to gold sales ratio, but the gold silver ratio. I showed you on the last podcast how over the last 5 years that gold silver ratio has really gone higher. Here's the 1 year chart. It's gone lower year over year, but over the last 5 years it's really ratcheted up. It ended last year over 72 to 1. At one point it was 83 to 1. And here's a live chart. You can click on, if you go to Smaulgld, you can see the gold silver ratio You go here, click on that, you can see all of the charts. They're live. 1 day, 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 year charts. But yeah, you can see here it's still about 70 to 1. And that does it for today's Perth Mint. What we have coming up, we have American Platinum Eagles are back on sale now for the second year in a row. Second year in a row. They were out in 2014. They weren't out in 2015. They came out last year and they're out again this year. So we're going to talk about those. We are going to have the Shanghai Gold Exchange numbers out for January. We're going to have the People's Bank of Chinese gold reserves for January. They didn't buy anything in December. We'll see what they did in January. And then also we have the next episode in the series of Smaulgld, CIA, and the gold market coming up. So plenty to look forward to. So please subscribe to Smaulgld, and if you can, please donate via PayPal or Bitcoin.